Is recording? Yep. Sure? Alright. I'm gonna trust you. Okay, here. Okay. Alright, we're gonna start in 5, 5, 4. Hey, yo, what's good? Y'all already know what it is. I'm Shaggy Dashwood. I'm here at DJ Cavi Slow. Gang. This Add Me to Your Playlist podcast / YouTube channel. We are here today with a special guest. Our second woman artist that will come in today. Go ahead and introduce yourself, miss.
What's up, everybody? They call me PYT. PYT stands for Pretty Young Thing. They call me PYT, y'all.
There you go. Nice.
Yep.
And go ahead and tell them what they're listening to right now.
The song that's playing right now in the background is called Picture Perfect, produced by Jayhawk Productions. It's off my EP, Pearl Heart. Y'all should go check it out.
Hey, is that on all the platforms?
Yes, it's on Spotify, it's on iTunes, it's on all the major platforms.
All right, what's your Instagram and your social medias?
I'm going to do it like this. Okay. Instagram, they call me PYT. Facebook, they call me PYT. SoundCloud, they call me PYT. iTunes, they call me PYT. Twitter, they call me PYT too. Google me, they call me PYT. If you can't remember that, Google me, they call me PYT.
Hey, y'all fucking heard that?
Yo, listen.
Hey.
Let's go.
All right. Let's go ahead and transition more back into everything. All right. Get that set up. Right
Okay,
here.
you got little DJ skills too?
A little bit. Remember, I'm playing for the recording. Remember. All right, so let's get more into the conversation. Tell us a little bit more about yourself. So I'm already knowing you're hailing from the Southern California.
Yeah, repping the South Bay. I'm from Carson, California.
Oh, what?
I was born in Torrance,
Which
but
side
I was raised in Carson.
Let's go.
Centerview area.
Okay. Because
yeah.
I played baseball at Delamo Park.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I'm like
Carson.
Hemingway area. Hemingway is like down the street, like a block away from Centerview.
It's on Avalon.
On
right?
Avalon,
yeah, on Avalon,
yes.
Yeah, I played football at Victoria Park for Carson Colts.
Oh, okay.
My dad from Carson.
Oh, shout out to him.
Oh, yeah.
Carson Love.
Seahouse. Y'all know how that go. Okay, so you from Carson. So how long you been? Oh yeah, I got an uncle named Ken Hood. Shout out to Uncle Ken Hood. He from Carson too. Yard. Yeah, that's his thing. That's his thing he likes to say.
Oh, okay.
But tell me a little bit more. So you from Carson, born and raised, or born in Torrance?
Born in Torrance, raised in Carson.
Okay.
I was okay. So it's crazy because Carson is home, But I've lived in Palmdale, I've lived in Long Beach, I've lived in Los Angeles, but I went to school in Carson. Like my grandmother lives in Carson. Our family home is in Carson. That's where I spend my weekends, my everyday. So yeah. Carson is home.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
That's what's up. Yeah. Carson was that's where all my family is. We live mainly in Lakewood, Long Beach.
Okay.
But most of my dad's family's all in Carson. Carson and Compton. Over there off of Wilmington and Carson.
Okay.
By Dolphin Park.
That's what I'm talking about. You don't meet too many people that be like, I'm from Carson.
That's my people. I love Carson. That's a dope little city. That's a dope little city.
Yes, it is. It's a lot of talent too that has come out of Carson. Brandy, Ray J.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of talent.
Man,
you know something crazy? My dad, you met my dad.
Yeah,
my dad's got a baseball picture of him and Ray J.
No way.
When they were younger.
See?
Craziest shit ever. Craziest
Bishop
shit ever.
Lamont,
But yeah,
Razzcast,
That's what she know her history. You feel me?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go.
That's what's up.
Man, the amount of people from Carson that came on this show though so far.
We did. We
Reasons from TDE.
What's it called?
Oh, gang.
The beat you're hearing right now, the person that made the song, my Uncle Ant, he from Carson.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got a lot of Carson
That's
people
tight
on this
too.
that's been on the show. Wait, think about it. You're our fourth.
That's what's up.
We had Ken Hood,
including the visitors or just the
Ken Hood,
okay,
Black Magic, and then her, Carson. That's 4.
New God ain't from. Wait, what?
That's Black Magic.
You're right.
His Instagram is
right.
the new guy.
You're right.
Yeah, shout out to all of them.
I got you.
I be getting that shit confused.
I forgot. I
too.
be getting mixed up, dog. For real.
Okay, but let's get back to you. So, coming out of Carson. How long you been really taking music seriously?
I've been doing music, performing since I was 13, writing since I was 11, recording since I was like 14, 15. I've been doing it for a good like 18 years now. Yeah.
Wow, that's a long time.
And in the last, I want to say 5 years.
And how old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
Now you gonna ask a woman her age. Now,
I think it's that time. I think it's
fam. No, wait. Go ahead.
I feel like nowadays it doesn't matter.
You're not supposed to ask a woman their age. See, that's what's wrong. That's what's wrong.
I just don't see anything.
You're not with equality.
I'm with equality, but then at the same time, I'm a woman.
Nah, you can't do both.
I say this, like, at the end of the day, I believe in kind of like, just the old way that it used to be. Just like I said, like, you're never supposed to ask a woman her age. That's just policy. I don't think that should change.
No, I feel it. Hey, I feel it. Everybody has their, everybody has their things. Everybody has their styles, their
I believe in equality, but I ain't trying to pee standing up. You feel me? Like,
hey, I feel you on that.
Valid.
I ain't trying to play football, none of that,
No, I was just asking just to get more of a scope of how long you've been doing it.
I'm over 25.
Okay, that's
I'm
cool.
over 25.
That's cool.
I'll say that.
Look, that's 20. That could be 26.
You see?
It could be 26. That's technically over 25.
But yeah, I've been doing it for a long time.
Cool.
In the last, I want to say, I can't say that because ever since I started doing music, it's been a lot of great things that I've been a part of. But I guess in the last 2 years, that's when things start picking up, I guess, like television and things like that, like placements and things like that.
What have you been doing? So you mean like your music's been getting placed on?
Mm-hmm.
What shows have your music been placed on?
Insecure.
That's dope.
Yeah, shout out to Issa Rae. I think I said her name right. I'm not sure. Issa Rae.
That's hard.
But yeah, my music was placed on Insecure season 3. All the playbacks. That was my music as a soundtrack for all the playbacks on the season.
Like the recaps.
Yes, the recaps.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And
dope.
then
that's hella dope.
this year it was Bad Girls Club.
That's dope too.
Yeah.
Hey, that's dope. Getting placements and all that stuff, that's hella dope.
Yeah, it's dope.
That's real cool. So they play your track while chick getting beat up and shit. That's hella funny.
I saw one part, it was like they played it while they had like some type of sit down and they're like, calling out somebody like, oh, you said this, that, and the other before the fight. And it was just like, ooh, it was cool to see how
they gonna let you on there, but like y'all been fighting to my music.
Man, I don't know how that actually works out, but I'm just blessed and happy to have placements. Most artists, they do this for a long time and sometimes they don't see nothing out of it. And I've been blessed. I'm not gonna lie.
That's what's up. That's real cool. So what's the process of like getting music placed on a TV show? Do they just let you know that you?
With the process for me, it was kind of just like people reached out to me. So from what I can say as far as my process, people reached out to me, asked me to make certain songs. They'd tell me like either the type of artist that they want me to write like or write for. And then have me record for a certain show. Like, it depends on what they're looking for. And then after that, if they pick the song, then shit, you get placed.
Oh, okay, for sure. I didn't know. I always thought it was just like they liked it, like someone heard the song and thought they'd like it, so they just asked the person if they could put it on the show, and then paperwork after that.
They probably do. Like, as far as like artists that I guess are signed and things like that, like you'll hear a Marvin Gaye song or something like that. Excuse me. In the movie, they probably hit up his estate and ask. But as far as like the way that I'm doing it, they reach out to me and ask me to write like Bad Girls Club. We want songs that sound like Cardi B, or songs that sound like Caddy, and so
they already
that
had
type
an
of
idea of what they wanted.
Exactly.
So, okay.
That's wild. I never thought about that. That's crazy.
Yeah. There's a lot of shit that we don't know that comes to this game.
Dude, that's why I love this show, man. You learn a lot. You learn a lot
of shit.
Yeah, it's cool. It is.
Okay. So my next question would be like, so what brought you to music? Out of everything in this world someone could be, why be involved in music?
For me, I started off writing like poetry. what got me to doing music is honestly when Bow Wow came out. When he came out, he was 13. Beware a Dog album.
That little Bow Wow.
You just don't know. No, not that one. That was before that. That was Bounce With Me, Bounce With Me. Yeah, that was that one. So when he came out, I never saw a female rapper start that young. Of course, you know, Roxanne, Shantae, and females from back in the day, they started young. But as far as the 90s era, the Bow Wow era, even Criss Cross, like I didn't see a female rapper on that pedestal, on that plateau. I never seen a female artist reach a Bow Wow, a teenage female artist reach the Bow Wow.
Think about it. Really think about it. If you really think about it,
I'm trying to think like how old was Left Eye?
But she was in a group. Young. She didn't stand alone.
But I know she was young. She was younger than both of them.
She didn't stand alone, and she didn't have that many verses on their songs.
So I'm really trying to think.
That.
Were there any?
Only person I can think of is Aaliyah, but she ain't even a rapper.
That's a singer.
She wasn't really a rapper, yeah.
So, like I said, when I saw that, I was like, I want to combat that. That was not Bow Wow's era.
No, that's 80s, but I'm trying to think, like, how many... Because I know she started young. I know MC Lyte started young. MC Lyte, Moni Love. That's all 80s, though. That's like 80s, late 90s. Because Bow Wow more like 2000s.
Late 90s, 2000. Because he got discovered at 6 in 90. I can't remember.
Because when I remember Bow Wow being popular, it was right before Like Mike. Before that movie even came out.
I was in 5th grade when his album came out. That was like 2000.
Because I remember.
No, his music came out. Wait. Because he was young as fuck.
Because I'm from the Bay Area.
He was walking on the stage at like 01. That was the BET Awards, like 01. He was crip walking on the stage.
Yeah.
That was 2000 when his album like first came out. Like he's been a while for a long time.
Yeah, I just feel like Bow Wow.
Give him his flowers.
2000.
You got to.
No, when he was young, he was the shit. And
he sold out Madison Square Garden.
And then when he,
I was talking the rivalry between him
everything
and
after
Romeo. That shit had me like, what?
Everything after that album he did with Chris Brown, or those tracks he did with Chris Brown. After that's where I kind of lost. I lost Bow Wow.
You stupid.
Okay, so you wanted to get into it. Started young. So where did the process start from there?
It started off writing songs after that. That's why I said like 11 years old. That's when I started writing songs. It was like 5th grade when Bow Wow's Beware a Dog album came out. Then after that, I performed for the first time when I was like 13. My mom actually hooked it up. She heard I was rapping. Like she heard me rapping. I got Trick Daddy's beat with CeeLo, the Trick Love the Kids, that track. I got the instrumental, wrote to it, never recorded before, wrote to it, got on stage that same night, Carson Mall. Shout out to the South Bay Pavilion, the Carson Mall. And that was the first time I performed. And after that, I just kept going.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
Damn, that's what's up. Shit, that's young. I'm trying to remember the first time I ever performed. Had to be until high school.
Yeah.
I wasn't much of a performer until I got to like middle school, high school, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah, like middle school I did that shit. And it was like stupid shit, like little skits and shit we had to do for like assemblies and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Then I danced. I was a dancer. Break dancer and shit in middle school.
You gonna break dance?
He was just pop locking as I was setting up the DJ equipment. I forgot what I was bumping. Though.
Yeah, I still got a little bit in the back pocket, like a little bit, but nah, I'm not really doing that much.
Yeah, give him a few more shots and yeah.
I see you.
He boneless at that point.
Nah. Okay, so you started getting as far as you're making music, have you found yourself really changing your style often? Or has it been more or less kind of the same push? Or you kind of more or less just moving congruently with how hip hop flows?
I would say changing my style in a way. I try to write more commercial. Because in the beginning it was just bars. like I said, like seeing somebody like Bow Wow and not seeing a female teenage rapper at that time, like going against him, it kind of just was like, okay, you want to stand out. You want people to be like, okay, you're hard. So it started off for me as just like writing bars. Now I feel like I know the structure, I guess, of a song, especially writing for television. You know, like I know the structure now, so I know how to. It's certain words that's catchy. It's certain ways that you put the beat on as far as the hook, if that you want that to come first, or how many minutes you want it, you know? So that's the thing that has changed. But as far as like my rapping style, like nah, like I spit. I think my voice has gotten more mature than when I was younger. But
naturally, yeah. That's
naturally.
Puberty is. I always wonder, is it still called puberty for ladies? Is it still called? I don't know. I'm not a chick, so I don't know. I don't know if it is or not.
Yeah, it's still called puberty.
Okay, for sure. Fun fact. Fun facts. You learned something new here.
Growth.
Just growth. I don't know.
Maybe.
Like I said, I don't claim to be the smartest tool in the toolbox. I'm just the tool in the toolbox. But okay. So when it comes to your music, do you feel like you've modeled your style based on someone? Is it someone you can feel has a big influence on the way you make music, on just your overall style? Is there someone or people that you feel influence the kind of artist you are today?
I would say in the beginning, when I first got my own studio, my own home studio, I developed insomnia because I wouldn't sleep. It was like Tupac. That was somebody I was looking at the time, and I would watch how he would be in the studio and how he would stay in the studio all night. He has 760 something songs, you know, that still they can release. So at that time, it was like I wanted to be in the studio all night. I was making beats, engineering. I was teaching myself how to do all of these things. And the more that I was learning and the more that I was recording, that's who I guess influenced me at that time. When it comes to the business side of music, Michael Jackson. That is somebody that I study when it comes to the business because he made the most money within music. He acquired more in music than anybody else. So to me, it was like, okay, those two people, that's who I wanted to model myself as an artist after. As far as spitting style or the way that I dress or anything, not so much. I like female artists. There are certain female artists, Eve, Lauryn Hill, Da Brat. It's certain female artists that I listen to, Lil' Kim, that I like, but I never wanted to sound like them. I never wanted to spit like them, my cadence, my rhythm, nothing like that. It was just like I wanted to stand with them like as one of the females who could spit.
Okay, that's what's up. Okay,
if that makes sense.
No, I feel it.
I'm not gonna lie though. Like I know we live, but I gotta.
All right, we're back. We had to take a quick little break. All right, so what were we talking about? All right, so when it comes to music, is there a specific process you go through? Is there a certain way you prefer to record, or are you a type of person who has to have the track completely written out before you go in, or are you the type that'd rather pay for 4 hours and just see what you can make within those 4 hours?
Both.
Okay.
I would say sometimes, well, it depends. I don't like being rushed to do music. So if it's like when it's original music, I would say I kind of like to go in the studio sometimes and write. If I already have the beat, you know, I can feel it or whatever, I'll write. But then sometimes I'll still go to the studio and I may hear something else when I get on the mic. So with the original music, it's both. I like to sometimes have it already written out, and then sometimes when I get to the studio, I want to write or I want to tweak it. Okay. If it's like a jacking for beats type thing, to where it's like I'm rapping on radio beats, I like to get to the studio and already have it done. So when I get there, I can shoot through 10 tracks, you know, no hook. Like, you know, 4 hours to get it done. But like when it's the original music and it's music like my music, then it's like, okay, the process, it differs a little bit. It's both of those.
Okay, for sure. And then I got a tough question for you.
Okay.
What percentage of a project has to be written? What percentage of a project has to be written for it to be considered theirs?
Theirs as the artist?
Yeah. because I know with being within the industry, a lot of the stuff we hear is not original ideas.
Yeah.
So what percentage of a project would have to be original for you to consider it theirs?
If they're honest about themselves having ghostwriters, I would say probably less than 50%, because I mean, even though you're singing it, it's kind of like, I mean, I guess you could say 50%, because you are singing it, you're putting your feeling into it, your heart into it. But then at the same time, with you not writing it, it's kind of like, yeah, you feel it, but then at the same time, it kind of belongs to somebody else too. I don't know. I mean,
can a rapper be ever seen in the same vein as a rap? Can a rapper be seen in the same light as an R&B singer?
No. In my opinion, an R&B singer can have writers. I mean,
what's the difference?
Because with rap, what it's built on, it's built on being able to spit. It's built on being able to stand on your own too. We really talking about the origins of hip hop, we really talking about Kool Moe Dee and LL Cool J having beef and battle rap back in the day, off the top of the head. If we really talking about the real of hip hop, that's what it's based on. You spitting your own stuff, writing your own stuff, like this mine. Hip hop is selfish. Hip hop is not a genre to where it's like, oh yeah, I got ghostwriters. I ain't never heard not one rapper until somebody outed them. I never really heard one rapper say like, oh yeah, I got a whole team of writers that write all this stuff for me. Even with the producers, you hear stories of how top producers don't really produce no more, and they got a room of 10 producers that's producing for them, but they're never gonna say it, because if they did, people would look at them different. They wouldn't pay $400,000 for a such and such beat, because it don't sound like California Love. It sound like Booty Woo.
I feel like they still do. I feel like it's well known that certain like
to pay that much though.
But I feel like that's where you see those videos of the producer actually in the studio with the artist. I feel like some of them pay to actually be in the studio with them, rather than just to get a track that might not be theirs or not.
Nah, but then at the same time, a lot of it is a facade. Like, even though that people know Drake actually have writers that have come out and said they wrote XYZ. But Drake is not going to get in an interview and say, I have a team of writers. I got 40 producing. He going to talk about his producers, but he's not going to get in an interview and say, I got writers.
I think it's because it's so common. I think it's common when you get to that point. I think it's very common when you get to that point.
I don't know.
Because I remember, like,
I mean, shit, you ever heard of artists running out of ideas once they make it to the top?
Well, not just that. I'm thinking more or less like, if you're signed to a major label, everything you make's got to be commercial.
Yeah.
So I can totally see if they have someone that they need to keep commercial. So they start they start helping them write more commercial stuff. I don't find it wrong. Funk Flex said everybody helps people with bars. He's like, the only thing that made Drake different is he heard reference tracks.
If Funk Flex said that, but if somebody came out and said they wrote for Biggie Smalls,
listen,
let's be real. Funk Flex would be the first person. That's not true. He wrote every. Right, so right. I'm sorry with that one. That's the kind of touchy one.
Well, like more or less I see is like, because if you like, I guess an example, if you really listen to Dr. Dre, like if you listen to all his music where he raps, you can tell who wrote his raps based on how he spits. You can tell.
But
like
it wasn't
when you listen
until
to NWA, he was rapping just like Ice Cube.
But it wasn't until how many years later? And it wasn't until the movie came out, and it wasn't until a couple of years ago that people even knew Jay-Z wrote the Still Dre song. That wasn't known when that song came out. Dre didn't say, "Oh yeah, and by the way, Jay-Z wrote my bars." My dad told me that shit,
and then like my dad told me that shit. Like my dad's the one that told me like that Snoop wrote majority of the Chronic.
See?
He was like, but just listen to how Dre spits when he's on certain tracks with certain rappers. He sounds similar, and he's like, because they're writing his raps for him.
Like the one with Kendrick Lamar, the "Smoking Weed with You," whatever. Yeah. You feel me?
He's rapping just like Kendrick.
But if they would have put that in Source magazine, if they would have put that in Life magazine, if they would have put that in magazines when hip hop,
but
really
I think he gets a pass because he's a producer.
But whoever really, other than, like I said, the last 2 years, people just now finding Jay-Z wrote it. People just now finding out that Jay-Z had writers, that Kanye wrote for him.
Yeah.
But people are just now finding these things out because people are exposing people. They wouldn't dare have said these things in the time where hip-hop was really like, you gotta spit. Rap City, when you had to spit bars, come on now.
I think back then, I think people were writing for each other, but you still had to be able to rap in case you got called out.
But did anybody ever admit it? Was it something that you could admit in hip hop?
Yeah, I was just watching like those. Remember those movies, those DVDs like Beef 1, 2, and 3. Majority of those fucking beefs were started because of lyrics that someone else wrote for another track that they used on another track. Like, so I'm thinking, if all y'all helping each other out with music, I think the only reason, I think people that, the ones that really get mad at people who ghostwrite are the ones that can't actually rap without a ghostwriter. I can understand that being upsetting. Because I can totally see that being upsetting. That's like a basketball coach. That's like a coach coaching the Lakers. Come to find out, he's getting all his stuff from another coach that's not from
it's one way to look at it, but then when you got somebody like Common or somebody like Rakim and people like that who actually do have penmanship, but they don't have the same buzz or the same promotion
not
as
the same marketplace.
Why? They may say because it's not popular no more.
Well, that's what the marketplace is. I feel like the market's always going to drive what's popular. And even to some people's own popular opinion, the marketplace is always going to drive what's popular.
That's true.
It's a grim reality, especially when I talk to dudes who are more like the militant type and stuff like that. And they're trying to figure out why, because there's so much uplifting music. Why is the other stuff so popular? And it's just because that's what the market is choosing.
That's what.
As of right now, that's what the market wants. It could change. It could not change. It goes through fluctuations. What's going to happen is, you notice this within rappers. I've just noticed it within hip-hop. Rappers go through phases. They go through the beginning where it's the tough and gritty, controversial, all that other shit. And they start getting older, you start noticing they're mellowing out.
Oh, facts.
So I don't feel
any, you can just look at Kanye's discography. Like, you just listen from front to back in one full day, or however long it takes. You can tell. You can really tell how the style changes.
The marketplace is always going to drive it, and we're in a country that loves controversial shit.
Yep.
We love controversial shit. Our country is full of people who would just be rebels just to be a rebel. Really have no reason to be a rebel, but just be a rebel. I do it sometimes. I know I shouldn't be listening to my stereo that damn loud driving down the street, but shit, who the fuck cares? But that's because I'm American. That's kind of our attitude. But you gotta. No, it's hard. It's hard to tell people that uplifting shit no one really likes to listen to. And it sucks for artists like Common. It sucks for artists. It sucks because a lot of artists get pushed to the side because of what the mainstream is looking at. And there's a lot of ways to change it, but the way you're just not going to be able to change it through the music. I just don't believe it'll be changed through the music. That's a deeper problem than just what's getting put on the radio, because they have radio-friendly everything. Yet.
Well, honestly, to keep it real, I also think the reason why is because a lot of key players that were in music who had the power to sing whatever they wanted, to sing uplifting music and then sell 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, a lot of those people are dead. A lot of the people that they have now, not saying that they're not famous, but even if they have that platform, they don't want to make songs, like you said, that are really uplifting because they're scared that they won't sell. A lot of the people who would go against the grain, Because, I mean, I've heard in interviews where people say Tupac was sacrificed. I'm talking about artists that he worked with. And what they mean is, in order for hip-hop to have gotten where it is now, in order for people to be as free as they are now, to dress how they dress and say what they want to say, somebody like him had to pass away.
I feel that if you want to do that and you want to be the person to change a bunch of things, understand that you may not make money in this.
And a lot of people are scared.
The moment you start making money off of this is the moment you're no longer the artist that you were. You want to stay pure, find another.
You become a target at that point.
No, it's not even that. It's more or less
because the music starts to change.
Because now you're making music to pay your bills rather than you making music because based on your feelings. That's why all artists, when they start out, their music's always phenomenal when they start out, and it starts to die further in, because when they were making it at first, this was making music simply just to make music. Then once it became a career, they started making music that they thought was going to sell. So they're no longer that artist that first started because they have to make music that sells. And before, they were just making music to make music. Talking to the mic.
They're not tapped into that originality that they started with. Like,
yeah.
That original taste that they...
Marvin Hagler is a famous middleweight boxer, says it perfectly. It's hard to get up out of work when you're in silk sheets.
Yeah.
So it's just, I feel like that's just what comes with the territory. It comes with the territory. At first, you're bright and green, think blue-eyed or brown-eyed bright, just bright and bushy, just hoping everything's gonna happen. Then the more and more you're in this industry, you start realizing it's not what you thought it was. I figured that out a while ago. But that's where I feel the difference is between where a lot of artists go. Because it's hard to be yourself on top of making money, because some of the stuff you do being yourself doesn't gel with people. And then you're going to start making your decisions based on that.
And like you said, it depends on how famous you want to be. It depends on where you want to go. It's not that you can't get rich. It's not that you can't have a fan base. It's not that you can't still sing what you want to sing and do what you want to do. It depends on, do you want to be on every radio station? Do you want to be on every television network? Or do you want to have your 100,000, 200,000 fans to where every time you put something out, you still selling and you still making a living? Because as Forbes put it, you only need 1,000 fans to really start making a living. Then you start building up after that. So it really depends on where you want to take it. I agree with that. The more famous that you get, your music starts to change. But the music starts to change not just because of you, I feel. It's because of the industry. I've been in certain meetings. I've been in certain conversations to where I've seen artists that from back in the day, people that we look up to, from what I've seen on television and things like that, when I see them behind the scenes, they're not what they portray to be. They portray to be something else because, like you said, now they got to make money to feed their family. At this point in time in their life, at first, maybe they were a little more real. But then when I see them behind the scenes, it's like, okay, now I see what it really is. A lot of people just got a facade, like you said, just to make some money. But then there are people who still are real, and they may not be as famous. They may not get the most streams like Nas.
I don't think it's more or less real or fake. I think it's more or less kind of like the same thing, like myself. Like my job outside of work.
You don't think it's a real or fake thing?
No, I think it more or less it's very similar to how people are that work a 9-to-5 but also an artist. Like me, I deal with me, I deal in corporate. I deal with clients and stuff like that. So you're not going to hear the same things in the same accent and the same tone of voice that you're going to hear when I'm with those people.
But do you sacrifice your beliefs?
In a certain
Are
way,
you
yes.
real to yourself, or do you sacrifice your beliefs in order for you to keep that corporate job? Do you let people
Yeah, there's
talk to
certain
you any
things.
kind of way? Do you lower your confidence, your self-esteem? Do you dress a certain way to where it makes you feel like I'm degrading myself in order to get this or do this? Are you selling out?
I can see how some people would see that I'm selling out.
But do you feel that you're selling
No,
out?
I feel like whatever, if you're doing what you need to do to keep your place, as long as you're not shitting on other people on the way there or keeping it there, you're being as real as you need to be. If I have to see, I don't understand the problem that I don't get with people have an issue with not conformity, but understanding what's appropriate and what's not appropriate. In a certain corporate setting, it's not appropriate to come in there with a snapback on in the pro club. It's appropriate to come in there with a button-up shirt, tie, tucked in with a suit top. That's appropriate. Doesn't mean I'm selling out. Doesn't mean I'm not the same dude from the east side of San Jose. I'm still the same dude, but I understand that these people are in control of what goes on in my life, which is they're in charge of my company. So I need to make sure I'm presenting myself and representing myself as well as the company in a positive light.
That's where independence, that's where a lot of artists are pushing independence because of what you just said.
But
right
even
there.
as an independent artist, you're still gonna have those meetings with those corporate people, and you're gonna need to know business etiquette. That's a big part about business. Most people that don't want to do it themselves end up hiring somebody that dresses just like that.
But
to
we're
go sit in
talking
those
about
meetings.
we're talking about how far you want to go as an artist. We're talking about real and fake.
How far you want to go as an artist is how much you're willing to change to make sure that you're gonna reach that kind of success. And there is a blueprint to how stuff is successful. And if you're unwilling to do that, you have to accept that you're not gonna reach that certain success. Good example, DaBaby. He just had his first incident, and just like 50 Cent said, no one's told him he's a superstar yet. No one let him know there's a certain way you gotta move when you're a superstar. You might have been able to get away with some of the shit you said when you first came out because you wasn't a superstar then. At that point, you was just a hood star. Now you're the superstar. You getting Pepsi commercials. You getting all these other commercials. There is a specific way you need to act. Just like 50 Cent. 50 Cent's known as the most gangster of all gangsters. But when he was getting his vitamin water deals and getting all those massive deals, he played his part. He stayed out of trouble. He put on his three-piece suits. He became the businessman that he needed to become.
But he did that because, like you said about yourself being in corporate, because of somebody's over you. There's somebody that's over you. I was just having this conversation about the SoFi Stadium. The fact that there are no black people who own a football stadium. There are no, and I'm talking about not a percentage. I'm talking about full. Even though black people have record labels, the record labels were under corporate labels, under big labels, to where even if you wanted to say what you wanted to say, there's still somebody to say, hey, you can't say that, right?
Not necessarily. It depends on what kind of deal you have with them. Like, so Aftermath, like say for an example, Aftermath is heavily involved with Interscope, but you can be an independent record label and only have a distribution deal through a record label, where the record label doesn't tell you what to do. They're just entitled to the 20% that they get for distribution. So you can still have your label.
You can still say what you want to say, but in order for you to get those sneaker deals, you said 50 Cent, even though he got G Unit, even though you own Shady, whatever, in order for you to get Reebok deals, in order for you to get vitamin water, there's a certain way that you have to be. The people that own those companies don't look like you. What I'm saying is, with us, we're conforming because we have people that are over us that are not like us. People who already have these things in order, placed in order, and when you act up, you get put in line. Your money get messed with. You got to conform at some point in time. Let it have been, and you can't say Motown, because even Motown did they artists dirty, and they started to act like the labels who were doing black artists dirty. But if there was a label, I'm talking about like how Sam Cooke was trying to do it. If there was a label to where it's a black label, all black people working, minorities if you want to say, working, and we're training our artists and we're teaching them the business. We're letting them learn about ownership, yada yada yada. When they get out of hand, we're gonna deal with it. You're probably able to say a little bit more of what you want to say. You probably will want to live and do things that's the way that you want to do it. But with you having these people over you, just like in the jail system, you got these people over you telling you, well, in order for you to get a Pepsi deal, in order for you to get a Nike deal, eventually you're going to have to, tone down on talking about your freedom of speech. You may have to stop talking about God. You may have to stop talking about this and that. You may have to start dressing a certain way, and
So
I could say it as a female artist.
What I have to that is, if your morals don't align with a certain company or brand,
yes.
Why are you trying to be a part of that brand?
Because why? Because they're the big brands, right?
But my thing is, if you're gonna sit on such a high moral ground, you don't even want to work with these people anyways, because they don't even sit on your moral high ground.
But but answer this. What I'm saying is, just like if I'm an artist and I want to get signed, right? Mm-hmm. I got Sony Records, I got all these big labels. Mm-hmm. Even if I want to get signed to Cash Money has distribution through Universal, and there's some more things that go through that. It's not just distribution. But why is there not a big black label to where you are like a Sony? How come that's not possible? How come we still have to go to these people and bow our heads down and conform? How come there wasn't a point in time to where we had our own? That's what I'm saying. You're conforming because of who's over you. That's the only reason why you're conforming. You got Death Row Records. They felt like, okay, this is an all-black label. We can do what we want to do. I'm not saying that it was right. But they said what they wanted to say. NWA, they said what they wanted to say.
So I feel that if you're trying to reach those levels of Pepsi, Nike, Puma, all these big what's it called, you also have to realize that they don't just market to just black people.
No.
So if you're trying to market to everybody, I can guarantee that a black-owned company, we can probably look some up now. Shit, Off-White, it's a black company. I guarantee that the stuff that they send to Japan looks different to what they sell into the black folk. I can guarantee it because Japanese folk like a certain look. They like a certain thing.
How many sponsorships does Jordan give out? To rappers, to singers, to actors. I'm talking about like how Nike and Puma does. How many sponsorships does Jordan give out?
Jordan's making way too much money in other things to even think about music.
No. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you have these people. You have people like Puma. You have people who are looking at the artists and saying, okay, I want to make some money off of that. And they got these artists thinking.
I don't want to cut you off. I don't know why the sound went out. Sorry about that. Technical difficulties. Had to figure out. But back to what you were saying. What were we talking about?
Talking about conforming.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so I don't feel that when an artist decides to capitalize on their fame and decide to cross over, because that's all that it reminds me of. Is kind of like that age-old, if you ever watched the Temptations movies or like anything about like the Motown and stuff, their big thing was trying to cross over from being just a band that black people listen to and pay for to being a band that white people pay to see, Asian people pay to see.
Right.
And so they'd make more generic music to feed to those generic sides, which I really don't understand the selling out part. I feel like if you're trying to conquer a new audience, yeah, it's smart to kind of do stuff more similar to how they do it. Now, once you capture them, if you want to try to slowly bring what you got over there, but it makes sense to kind of associate yourself like that. It makes sense.
Well, even after the Temptations crossed over, they still had controversial music.
Yeah.
Like you said, even if you want to cross over and you want to bring your own, you still want to talk about how you feel. You should have that right to do that. Now you got the platform.
You do
That's
have
what
the
it's
right
about.
to do it.
You got the platform now.
Everybody has the right to say whatever the fuck you want. But you have to understand that there is positive and negative consequences to that freedom. So if you want to have the freedom to make your art the way you want it, the way you want to, the way you envision it, understand that you're going to more than likely have to do it on your own. Now, there may be some independent labels that are more willing to work with artists that want them to be more themselves. You more or less have to look and shop for those kind of labels. But I would never say, if you don't align morally with the company, don't even try to sign with them. I wouldn't even. There's certain companies that I don't fuck with, that I just will not fuck with. It doesn't matter who's been involved. Some of the people I look up to have been involved in some of the companies I won't use. And I feel that if you're gonna stick to a moral high ground, that you just aren't even gonna associate yourself with those kind of people.
Dave Chappelle. Let's talk about that. Dave Chappelle did a comedy special.
His new special?
He did a new comedy special.
Okay.
Which was hilarious.
And he said whatever he wanted to say. Cancel culture. Being cancel culture, it's a lot of people, a lot of comedians who would not speak the way he spoke because they've already been canceled. They've already been threatened to be canceled, right? He has the platform. He has the fame to say what he wants. He decided to say what he wanted.
I feel like canceling only happens if you allow it to. How I see it,
No. The baby is being canceled left and right. He's not allowing them to. He's still posting flyers for stuff he was booked for, and come to find out so I don't think he's allowing them to cancel him.
Some of those mainstream ones that aren't more or less involved with that shit. Yeah, you're gonna lose. If you're gonna be controversial, you are gonna lose things. There's no being controversial, but Pepsi's still gonna keep you. There's none of that.
I said Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle. I said let's talk about Dave Chappelle. His new comedy special. In America, in the world, cancel culture right now is real big. You talk about somebody, especially homosexuals, you're gonna get canceled. He took that chance with this company, and they still behind him. Why they still behind him, we do not know. Whatever they publicly say, that does not mean that is really why they still behind him. But he took a chance and he said what he wanted to say, right?
Yeah. And some companies and some festivals don't align with that, so they're gonna drop you.
Okay.
I don't see anything wrong with them dropping him.
He said what he wanted to say.
Yeah.
Netflix still behind him. They didn't drop him. They didn't cancel him. They allowed him to have his freedom of speech.
Netflix was a business move.
But what I'm saying is freedom of speech. We're talking about conforming. He didn't conform to what most comedians would do on Netflix. Yeah. Netflix see it as a money opportunity. Let him say what he want to say. We make money off him, whatever, however you want to say it. But at the end of the day, I feel like as artists, you should be able to have that right just like he did. And labels see the money that can be made. They see that you have the money and shock value.
It's all about bending the
this
rule.
is gonna make me sound
That's
like
how I see it.
what I'm about to say right now.
Honestly,
What I'm about to say right now is gonna make me sound like a dick. But
no. But
it is what it is.
I see where she's coming
None
from.
of us here
Go ahead.
are Dave Chappelle, so we need to understand that Dave Chappelle is at a level where you can't really get canceled. He's at such a big level, you can't really get canceled. Like a 50 Cent. White people love 50 Cent, and he be doing some crazy shit.
You can't say that because all the white people love Bill Cosby too. Every white person loved Bill Cosby too. And as soon as that situation happened, what did they do? They canceled him, and he's still canceled. So you can't say that. That is the beloved. That's the father in America. If you Google Bill Cosby at one point in time,
we can Google Bill
that
Cosby
will pop
and say
up,
he's
right?
great. But I'm gonna be honest. Let's be honest here. I'm gonna be straight up with you. I have never watched an episode of The Cosby Show, and you've met my family. My family is blacker than the Compton High School Tar Heels.
Fam, you can't use that. You can't use
Bill Cosby wasn't that big in my family.
You can't use
But okay, but
in general, man.
Yeah, we're talking about in general. You just said how the Temptations, in order for them to cross over to the Asians, the whites, this and that. Bill Cosby was that. He was that to the point that people believe, whether you believe it or not, but people believe he was such a threat because he was going to buy NBC. So he had to have been worldwide famous, and he's still canceled. He's still canceled.
So this is selective canceling.
Yes.
No, I just feel like there's certain people you can get away with it for, and there's some people that just aren't, that just get past it.
Selective.
Certain people have the ability for this shit not to affect them. It's not a selective. How many times has 50 Cent been canceled?
Elvis Presley is not canceled. R. Kelly is Elvis Presley married a 13-year-old girl. He's not canceled. R. Kelly is canceled. I'm not saying that what R. Kelly did was right, but they both were wrong.
To play devil's advocate, Elvis didn't have child porn.
You don't know what Elvis had, to keep it real.
But because we don't know, you can't assume. Like, I was on R. Kelly's side. Like, I could say he's into weird shit, but until they prove to me he's got child porn in his house, I'm not gonna believe it. Now when they start bringing up evidence, I'm like,
marrying
all right, cool.
a 13-year-old girl, Hugh Hefner publishing a 10-year-old naked Brooke Shields, among other teenage girls, and people call him the Playboy. And that's okay. He's never been canceled. Girls have posed for him that are under 18. Everybody, how you gonna say Bill Cosby was at the Playboy Mansion with Donald Trump and everybody else with 13 and 14-year-olds, but you're not canceled? It is definitely selective canceling. Definitely. There are a lot of pedophiles in Hollywood and they're not canceled. Come on.
Aren't they all getting?
No.
I mean, it depends on who got the names. Whoever's gonna rat out names.
Yeah, whoever. Yeah, we really don't know. We don't.
See, I'm one of those people. I'm gonna be fair across the board. So if I don't know, if I have no information of the contrary, I don't believe it.
Though.
It's not. They expose what they want you to see. For all these years before that tape, everybody knew about R. Kelly and getting married to a 14-year-old girl, and he still wasn't canceled. Selective canceling, it has to be.
No, it's not selective. I just think society at the time didn't really care too much about it.
And then he had a video surface of him peeing on a 13-year-old girl
that everybody watched, and
he still wasn't canceled.
That's what I'm saying. Society dictates who's in trouble.
Selective.
Sorry,
I agree.
Certain people
Aren't they selecting though?
No, certain people don't. Certain people don't get. Canceling doesn't work for certain people.
Okay, so yeah, there's a difference between the audience and
I can name a bunch of white artists, white people you guys have never heard of that have recently been canceled. I can name a bunch of. Okay. You got Chris D'Elia, Joey Diaz. Well, Joey Diaz is Cuban, but you have Joey Diaz. You have Bert Kreischer, Ari Shaffir, who's the guy who did that Kobe tweet the day after Kobe died. He's still selling out comedy tours.
He's not canceled.
But as far as he went through the whole cancel Ari, hashtag cancel Ari Shaffir, places started saying we're not going to have you because of that stuff. He went through the same shit, but the way Ari handled it was, my jokes are not meant for everybody. So the people that don't like it, they're not meant for you.
Same thing that Dave Chappelle did.
That was about to be my whole point with Dave Chappelle. He's a comedian, so that's a realm where what they're saying is not meant for everybody. If you are one of those people that are easily offended by jokes, you don't listen to Dave Chappelle.
That's the
you
same
don't listen
thing
to
with
him,
music.
Bill Burr. You don't listen.
It's the same thing with music.
You just don't listen to them. And people have to understand now, especially now, people are way more sensitive to shit than they were back then. So it's not conforming. It's just being aware that society is a little bit less edgy now. It's not as edgy as it used to be. This isn't the South Park era, WWE Monday Night Raw era anymore. It's not that anymore. This is the Nickelodeon Cartoon Network era. Kids who grew up from their TV.
Nah, we on YouTube.
Nah. I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
This is all
it's rowdy. It's rowdy now.
You can go through every generation and say that it was rowdy in every generation. Because you can go back to every era. You can go to the 90s with the crack era. Then you go to 80s with the cocaine. Then you go to 70s with heroin. Then you go to the 60s with booze. When there was a bunch of bootlickers and stuff like that. There's always riffraff in every generation. Always.
But certain people get canceled and certain people don't.
I just don't think they've reached a certain status. You can reach an untouchable
status. But they've been
status.
canceling for years, though. You just went through
R. Kelly was untouchable for a while. It just got to the point. You get to a point where you're no longer untouchable. That happens to well-known criminals. That happens to everybody. At some point, your run is gonna end. So any devilish shit you were doing prior is gonna hit the fan. It's gonna hit the fan.
I believe that.
They hit what's his name who killed himself inside the prison, who was in charge of all that pedophile shit. Then what's his name? The other white dude just got convicted for raping all them chicks just like Bill Cosby did. What's his name? I forgot his name. He was the movie producer.
Weinstein.
Yeah, he went to jail. Bill Cosby just got out. On a technicality.
But him getting out.
So he's just survived. He's just survived his canceling.
No.
He just survived it.
No, because he still can't go on a comedy tour. He can't put out a comedy album. He can't show his face publicly. He can't make money the way he used to.
But he really wasn't doing comedy tours before he was going in before that.
He's trying to do a comedy tour now. They won't allow him to. He's trying to do interviews now. They won't allow him to. He's not the same Bill Cosby. Even though he's out, they're still going to make sure he does not make the money that he used to make. They tried to freeze his bank accounts when he was in jail.
They do that to a lot of
But they're not going to make him. They're not going to allow him to make the money that he used to make or nowhere close. Come on now.
Well, if you're being realistic, he's never going to make that. Even if he had every opportunity to. Let's be honest. Are you dying to go see Bill Cosby at a show right now?
I'm not dying to go see Bill Cosby.
That's my point exactly. He's not going to make that much money.
I'm not dying to go see Bill Cosby, but at the end of the day, that man is still a genius. And if he wrote a show, if he tried to do anything like that, that is not about
Bill Cosby is one of the most despised from black comedians. He's one of the most despised black comedian by other black comedians. Your boy Patrice O'Neal talks about it.
Yep.
No black comedians liked Bill Cosby. They were not fans of him. So I find it very hypocritical that a lot of them come to his aid after they've drug him through the wall prior to that. Bill Cosby's been known, D.L. Hughley has been said it publicly, he's not a fan of Bill Cosby. He knew Bill Cosby was a rapist back then. A lot of people didn't like Bill Cosby, so I just find it weird. Same thing with the Donald Trump thing. I've never really been a fan of Donald Trump, but I've also noticed the moment people become into power is when people start hating on him. So people are just for me, it's hard to be hypocritical when no one was really fucking with Bill Cosby prior to that. My family, none of my friends around me was like dying to see Bill Cosby. Was dying to see the Cosby Show.
He still had the Cosby Show, A Different World, and he had his hand in a lot of television network production. Just because I myself, you and your family, maybe him, just because we wasn't checking for Bill Cosby, don't mean that Bill Cosby wasn't on the radar.
But it also doesn't mean that.
Because his net worth when he went to jail, I mean, come on. You got royalties, you got syndication, you still making money somehow.
But it has more or less to do
then
with
you're
what
doing
you own.
college tours, you're going and doing speeches, you're getting paid for that. So he still was getting paid, he still was making money.
Yeah.
How many shows are here still on TV? I think they got like A Different World just hit like Netflix or something like that. They took everything down.
Shit, they need to bring back Little Bill. Shit.
Little Bill, the books. When I was a teacher, I had
so
that in my classroom.
It goes into situation. It goes into more or less. Are you able to separate the person's art from who the person was?
A lot of people can't do that.
A lot of people, because at first, when the accusation first came out, I kind of thought they were BS. But when I started hearing black comedians say, no, we knew about this too. That's when the whole conspiracy theory went out of my head. Because if black people were saying, no, that's a lie, Bill Cosby wasn't like that at all, I could believe the conspiracy theory. But other black comedians and other black comedians that we ourselves hold in high regard are all saying the same shit. So I feel in this situation, this person was just a sick person. I don't think it has nothing to do. It has nothing to do with race or anything. It has to do with nowadays. Now he can get caught for it. Back then, it was easier to get away with shit. You could have robbed a bank. You just had to be out of that bitch before the cops got there. It was different. It was harder for people to get in trouble for things back then. There's a bunch of people now are getting caught up for shit they did in the 80s. They did in the 80s and 90s.
I wouldn't say that. I'm gonna say no, because it's too many men that are in jail that were found guilty off of false evidence or no evidence. So I'm not gonna say it's harder. It was harder for people to go to jail back then. They chose who went to jail. Because there are still men getting out today that have lawsuits and winning lawsuits for being in jail 30, 40 years for crimes they didn't commit.
I can agree that about 20%, I would say about 20% of the people in jails and prisons, I can agree to say probably shouldn't be in there. And that falls with like drug offenses, people who are on drugs and stuff like that. Things that I don't feel are punishable by jail time.
And you gotta disagree too, because there are a lot of men in jail for rape. But there are a lot of men in jail for rape.
A lot of people that are in there, let's be honest, a lot of people that's in there are in there because they did it. There's a 20%.
You don't watch the news and see none of these men who get released after doing 30, 40 years. You didn't watch Netflix and saw that movie. That wasn't drugs. You just said 20% because of drugs. That's not drugs.
But no, I said that includes, which means
there are black men, minority men
inside that 20%.
Who are in jail for crimes they didn't commit, for murders they didn't commit. But because people didn't want to look at the evidence, those people had to spend 30 years in prison. Let's not forget about the ones that hold themselves to a G code that don't say anything. Don't forget about those ones that made the dumb decision of not saying anything. But you said the 20%. You said drug offenses include drug offenses, right?
It includes drug offenders, people who may be wrongly convicted. It includes that 20% includes a lot.
I can't say 20%, and I can't say that it wasn't easy for people to get caught back then.
Yeah, if I say there's 100 people inside a prison, I would say 1,000 people in there. I would say 200 people in there. I feel don't deserve to be in there. But the rest of the 800 absolutely deserve to fucking be in there. Mm-hmm. And I'm not gonna sit there and say that there's not a good majority of dudes that's in there that deserve to be in there. I'm just be real with you. Now, if someone shows me their case and I'm like, yeah, that's bullshit, bro. You shouldn't be in there. You shouldn't be in there. But I'm not gonna be like free to homie, even though I know for a fact he did it. I'm not gonna sit there and be like that.
You said it was harder for people to go to jail.
Yeah, it was harder.
I disagree. And even with the Bill Cosby case, the cops, it wasn't hard for him to be convicted. The cops chose not to look at the evidence. It's all in the affidavit. It's all in the court documents. The only reason why that lady won back then, all she won was a civil case. She got paid. The only reason why he out now on a technicality is because they tried to charge him after she already signed, and he already signed that he couldn't be criminally charged.
So what happened was
the police didn't do their job.
The people in the civil case, the plaintiff in the civil case, agreed so he can get his settlement. Agreed that anything you use in this deposition cannot be used against you in the criminal case.
And it also says that the police told the defendant that they were not going to pursue evidence. Yes, the lady. Yes, the police told her that they weren't. That they were not going to look for evidence. This is Bill Cosby that we talking about.
Yeah, because you can't find evidence on a 20-year case.
No, I'm talking about when it first happened. I'm not talking about right now.
I'm talking about
when it first happened.
Yeah, I'm talking about the procedures that you just spoke of.
If you claim rape, the police are supposed to do a rape kit. They're supposed to look for evidence.
Not if the case is 20 years old. You can't perform a rape kit on a lady that on an incident
So
that
when
happened
the
20
incident
years.
happened and she called the police, this is around the time when she signed this affidavit. That wasn't 20 years. He didn't rape her 20 years before she signed for the money.
Well, even if it is, when you get a rape kit, they'll do a rape kit that day. They'll ask you, when did you get raped? And you said today. If you say today, they'll administer a rape kit. But if you say I got raped 2 weeks ago, they're not going to administer one because that's 2 weeks of time for you to wash yourself. So all the DNA that could have been in there is more than likely gone. It's more than likely gone because you've cleaned yourself. Well, I'm hoping they've usually washed themselves. They've usually cleaned up. They've wiped all the evidence. Any sweat, any DNA that could be possibly from that person is now gone within those 2 weeks.
So when she called the police when he first raped her,
They investigated due to circumstantial evidence. Circumstantial evidence does not mean that you are for sure there. It's like saying they're saying we think you robbed it, and it just so happens you were caught on camera walking by the place, and you happen to be wearing a black shirt like the suspect. That's all circumstantial evidence.
Okay.
Now, if they say we have your hair at the fucking site, that means they have DNA evidence, which is non-circumstantial because that puts you there.
Okay.
So what they convicted Bill Cosby on was all that circumstantial evidence, but what the prosecution forgot to leave what the prosecution told the judge, and then the judge, because he had a personal issue with the defense, decided to throw away that agreement, which was a verbal agreement.
Right.
And you get all this information. Shout out to Vlad TV. Bill Cosby's lawyer is on. He has an episode where he talks about the entire thing.
Yeah, I gotta watch that shit.
But all of his stuff was mainly due not even to the court not liking Bill Cosby. It was from the judge not liking his lawyer. The Bill Cosby's lawyer told them that the lawyer that they hired for their jurisdiction, because this was outside of California, had an issue with that judge. And those two didn't like each other. So that judge threw away his agreement because they didn't like each other. It had nothing to do with race or any of that, based on Bill Cosby's
We
own
weren't
lawyer.
talking about race. We were talking about the police, and we were talking about them investigating and people going to jail. And
But they didn't
harder.
investigate because they only can investigate circumstantial stuff, which is bring her in, interview her about the time it happened, what kind of stuff happens, interview people that are around. They're not going to go set up a crime scene because there is no crime scene.
But they did now.
Huh?
But they did now.
What
They
do
were
now?
able to convict him 3 years ago for a rape that you said happened 20 years ago with no evidence, right?
No, they had circumstantial evidence.
Circumstantial evidence.
Yes.
They had underwear with DNA. They
No,
had a rape
they all
kit.
had circumstantial
They had
evidence.
his semen. They had all of that.
You don't. If it's a jury trial, you don't need any of that. Even with the trial with just a judge, that can help. But
So
you
they
don't
couldn't
necessarily
do that
need
20
it.
years ago, but they did it now. What
Yeah.
I'm saying is, it wasn't that it's harder for him to go to jail back then. They could have did the same thing.
No, because back then, just like Eddie Griffin says, that back in those times, it was very commonplace for people to do a bunch of cocaine, and then to even out the high, you take a Quaalude.
But does that answer the question? You said circumstantial evidence.
Yes, it answers
That's
the
why
question.
no. He said he was found guilty 20 years later.
Due to circumstantial
evidence,
yes.
but he couldn't be convicted 20 years ago for the same thing.
It was
they
never
could've used
reported.
circumstantial.
She never came out and said that she was. She never came out and said she was going. No one ever came out and said it. They even say there was no investigations put on it back then. So if nobody reported the rape, how do the police know that the rape happened? That's kind of like if a tree falls in the middle of the woods and no one's there to hear it, it doesn't make a sound.
Because a lot of that shit is coming like these past how many years where you just hear about.
Have you guys not been on
just coming
Netflix and Hulu? There's a bunch of documentaries that are telling people what was going on in the 90s and shit.
Hella shit.
But it was a different time. Certain shit was okay. In Bill Cosby's time, it was okay to put shit in women's drinks. As fucked up as that shit was, it was okay at the time. Just like at one point, it was okay to enslave people. At one point, it was okay. People thought it was fine. Now, we don't. We think that shit was the worst thing you could possibly do to somebody. Over time, the rules of society change. At one point, you had to stay closeted gay and live a shitty existence your entire life. Now you can pretty much be whatever the fuck you want to be. Society changes over time and the rules change. So Bill Cosby wasn't going to get in trouble back then because it wasn't seen as that heinous of a crime back then. It wasn't seen. Now it's seen as a heinous crime because time changes it. That's why Weinstein, Epstein, shit, Drake Bell from fucking Nickelodeon just got caught for being a weirdo.
Yeah.
Like, it's happening to everybody. I watch all media. I pay attention to white people media. I pay attention to Asian people media. I pay attention to Mexican and Latino media. I pay attention to everybody's media, and everybody's getting hit.
There are still men in jail that went to jail during times, you said times have changed. They went to jail during times where all a woman had to do was cry rape. They can
do that now.
No, what I'm saying is there was a time where a woman can cry rape and a man just go to jail. There are a lot of men in jail that are waiting to get out 30, 40 years, right? Mm-hmm. They don't have a Bill Cosby name. They don't have a status. That plays a part. That does play a part. And for you to believe that it doesn't, that's crazy. That does play a part. And it's not that he shouldn't have been arrested back then.
I'm only saying that from my own experiences dealing with the court system.
Especially because you said all these black people have said, or comedians have said, oh, it's known that he was doing X, Y, Z. You said basically it was accepted. There are police officers who have come out and said, oh, well, we have gotten this, that, and the other. And it's like, so basically, it wasn't hard to get arrested. You guys just chose to turn a blind eye. And that's what it sounded like. Like, people just chose to turn a blind eye. It wasn't that it was hard to arrest them. Just like with R. Kelly, all the evidence was there. You guys just said, okay, this is who it is, and we're going to turn a blind eye.
Yeah, society deemed it okay.
Okay.
That's been my whole point. Is society deemed it okay at one point, and now we're in a new era where it's not okay. So you're going to jail for the shit you did. So that's kind of more or less what's going on. Okay. And yeah, there are people.
And people are money hungry too. They want shit. They shit. Hey.
Another thing that I want to bring up is there are a lot of people that are in jail today for laws that are no longer in existence. Now,
legalization.
Now, for that, I completely agree. If certain things are no longer a felony and stuff like that, their charges should get dropped to a misdemeanor and they should be released. I believe in that. Now, if it's happening or not, it's more than likely not going to happen. It's more than likely not. They're going to try to keep people inside the jails as much as they can. That's more or less how it goes. But the only thing they're going to do now is that you're no longer going to go to jail for 25 years for a gram of weed. They've changed it, but certain things now, they got to grandfather out. And that goes into the whole process, just how lawmaking goes within the United States and California. That's a whole book of worms that people have degrees and still don't understand it fully. But you gotta give yourself a little time to really look at every aspect of the world, and don't pigeonhole yourself to a certain community because if you don't know what's going on in the others, it's hard to say something's happening to others when it's not. I'm just gonna be the person because I'm mixed.
I didn't say black cellmates. I said period. There are men in jail who have been convicted, and you're saying and with rape, it's not even so much laws. It's not even so much laws.
Okay.
Because honestly, I've never read a law other than, oh, you rape a white woman or something. But other than that, I've never read a law that said it was okay to rape at any point in time. Other than what I said, if you rape a white woman or you rape I never read a law.
I think everybody who's ever been the only times that I'm thinking that someone who's raped somebody and got away with it, usually the evidence that comes around it is never clear cut. It's never clear cut. Some examples are shit like like a guy and a chick at first or first into it, and I've seen a lot of stories like this where they're caught on camera being lovey-dovey and all this shit at the club and bar, everything's cool. They go home, they do their thizzle. Next day, she regrets it and says homie raped her.
That's not the rape I'm talking about, though.
But there's a lot,
It's a lot of women that have cried rape over the years, and men went to jail with no evidence. They got, her underwear, it ain't even his DNA. But because he was in the wrong place at the wrong time, or because he looked like, or he was in the wrong neighborhood, that's what I'm talking about. The fact that there are still men in jail that you guys have convicted with no evidence, but you want to sit here, but you already made that clear sometimes, depending on who you are, because it seems like y'all, you guys can't go after these people that got a name to where there's evidence right in your face. Y'all wait 20, 30 years. You say it's because the world changed. Wow, okay. But you guys wait all this time, and these men are just now going to jail. But you got men in jail that's getting old, that been in there since 16, 17.
That's why she said turning a blind eye.
Yeah. Like the boys, what was it? The movie on Netflix? The 5 teenagers, they didn't even do it.
That shit was crazy.
You feel me?
Are you talking about the what's it called in New York? In New York?
Yeah, but you got celebrities. You got celebrities during that time that they was in jail, that was accused of certain stuff, and it's kind of like y'all turned a black eye, but these boys had to go through all that. Why? So it's kind of like, y'all do turn a blind eye. Y'all make it seem like it's okay for others to do it, and then it's not okay for others to do it, when it's wrong all across the board. Bill Cosby got away with some shit because people turned a blind eye. Hugh Hefner got away with some shit because people turned a blind eye. They all knew what was going on. Harvey Weinstein. It's so many actresses that came out and said, I said this.
But imagine all the actresses but there's a bunch of actresses that everybody loves right now that did do it, that are successful now because they fucked Harvey Weinstein.
Yes.
So this is my thing. Harvey Weinstein, all the ones that didn't want it, are the ones you should go to jail for.
Yeah.
Now the issue that I have that it gets iffy about rape, that I get iffy about it because where's the line that you go from? Where's the line? Because the line is very blurred on what is and what's not. What I feel is rape is when you're flat out beating up, you beat the chick up and you take advantage of it because she can't help you, she can't do it anymore. Like, you're physically forcing yourself upon her. Now, if two people are drinking,
be careful with what you say. Be careful.
Oh no, I've said some wild shit on here already. But if two people are drinking, they go to a club, both people have been drinking, and they both decide to have sex at the end of the night. But regardless of either one regrets it or not, that was an adult decision. At some point, where does the accountability line come in? Where's the accountability line? Now I can understand if one dude is dead sober and he sees a drunk chick and takes advantage of her. I'd be like, yeah, you're weird for that one. That one's weird. That's weird. Like, don't do that shit, bro. But if both of y'all been drinking, y'all both out, and at the end of the night, one of y'all ends up at each other's house and y'all sleep with each other and then y'all regret it the next day, that is just a bad decision. No one got raped. No one was harmed. Nobody was forced to do anything. You made a bad decision when you were inebriated, which you made the decision to do when you stepped into that bar. When you step into a bar and you're gonna go drink, you should already know your decision making is gonna be altered. So if you don't want that, simply don't drink or learn to control yourself. But you can't.
That's why I say you got to be careful with that, because that sounds like you're blaming women that have been raped. You don't even know if that's my background. That's why you got to be careful with that. If two people are drinking, if me and DJ we drinking and we both drunk, nobody has said no. Nobody has pushed somebody off. Nobody has fell on the ground throwing up. If it's a situation like that and we both have sex and somebody wake up the next day mad, be mad at yourself. You didn't say anything. But if you're in a situation, and any woman that's watching this, if that is something that has happened to you, I'm sorry. If you are in a situation and you're drinking with a guy, y'all both drunk, the moment you say no, the moment you want to get up, if you start throwing up and this dude is still on top of you trying to touch on you, that is rape. If you told him no, I don't care how many drinks that you've had, even if you say no in a whisper, if he decides to continue, that is rape. If you go to a bar and decide that I want to drink tonight, you did not make the decision to get raped. You made the decision to go out and have a good time, just like with a man. If a man goes out and he get drunk, he does not think he's going to get raped by another man. If he's with his
depending
homeboy,
on which club you go to.
well, maybe depending on what club you go to, but if y'all kicking it and y'all both get drunk, in your head, you're not going to think that this dude is going to take advantage of me. He sees me drunk. You're not going to think that. And recently, I just had a situation at work where there was a woman from out of town, flew in, and she got so drunk, she was throwing up on the ground. It was 4 guys that put up in the car and, hey, what's up? What's up? She's, and they still trying to get with her.
Yeah, those guys are weird.
But she's drunk.
Those guys are weird.
There are situations where women have gotten raped and choked on their vomit and died. And the guy you still gonna rape a woman like that because she can't say anything? So if you're a woman and you go out to a bar and you have drinks, yeah, be mindful. But at the same time, you should be able to have a good time, just like when a man go to a bar and have a good time. He ain't thinking about somebody gonna rape him. That's the furthest thought from his mind.
But we're thinking of the opposite. We're thinking of if we have fun with the chick and we go out with her, we could get accused of rape the next day. So it may not be the exact same thing, but we're thinking of other stuff that could potentially get us harmed as well.
That's true, but what you said kind of was offensive. You said if you gonna drink, you know, if you don't want to get raped or whatever, you said if you go to a bar, don't drink or be mindful of how much you drink. I can get the be mindful part, but all through the years, women have been blamed for being raped. They got a whole movement. I remember in high school, the denim movement. Because a woman got raped in the taxi because her pants was tight. And the dude said, well, her pants were too tight. That's why I raped her. For real? So because my pants are tight, you can rape me?
No.
You can't. Once you kind of start making them little excuses, that floodgate open.
It's not excuses. It's called accountability. So
okay.
Since me, like, I'm from the Bay Area.
Okay.
I don't know too much about gang politics, but I understand what color not to wear and what shit to wear in what situations. I should be able to wear whatever fucking color I want to wear in this world. Mm-hmm. I should be able to. Is that the reality of the situation?
No.
That's my point. My point is, if you want to avoid situations, avoid them.
But for you to tell a woman, don't drink.
Yes, because your drinking puts you in bad situations. Whether if it's
but for you to
sexually,
tell a woman don't drink,
aggressively,
that's offensive.
I tell dudes not to drink.
But then again, like, what's the point of going to a bar and partying?
You telling me that I can't go to a club?
So you have to accept, as a man, you have to accept the consequences that comes with the potential consequences that come with drinking, which can be any of them. And the same goes for a woman. It goes for both of them. Yeah. Both you guys have to accept the accountability that comes with your actions.
So if your sister, a woman in your family, if she got raped because she went out and had a drink, you would tell her, well, if you wouldn't have went out and had a drink, that man probably wouldn't have raped you? If you had a daughter, you would tell your daughter that? Seriously.
If I had a daughter and she was out partying and she puts herself in a bad situation, I'm gonna defend my daughter. But then at the end of the day, I'm gonna tell her, you don't put yourself in this fucking situation. This situation doesn't happen if you didn't go out to that party and get fucking hammered.
And somebody this whole like situation that would commit doesn't suicide. Happen. And
this whole situation
but a
doesn't
woman
happen.
like that would commit suicide. Hearing something like that, and that's also a statistic. So After this,
what's
that's a statistic. Women committing suicide because of insensitivity.
but what is the statistic? You're saying there is a statistic.
I gotta look it up.
What is
I gotta look up the statistic. I know it is. I know it is one. I have to look it up to get the actual percentage. I don't want to say wrong.
Because you're making a lot of assumptions about what's going on with me. I'm the son of a city councilwoman and a police officer. We understand.
But
we understand what's going on in this. I understand what's going on.
I didn't make an assumption. All I said was what you said was offensive. I didn't say that you thought rape was okay.
But
I said what you said was offensive.
About me saying you have to take the accountability for what your actions could potentially cause.
Because what you said was don't drink. How can you tell me because I feel like I want to go out and have a drink that's wrong?
It's not wrong that you want to have a drink.
Men rape women that aren't drunk.
But if you want,
so I shouldn't go outside.
It's just like if I want to go outside in LA, if I choose to wear a Houston Astros hat in LA, knowing I don't gangbang, I have already accepted the fact that I'm gonna have some issues when I leave. I'm gonna accept it. Now, if I want to accept that, that's on me.
So I should accept the fact that when I go out,
anytime
and
you go
have
out,
a
you're
drink,
in danger.
just like right now, I had a shot with y'all. So in the back of my head, y'all gonna gang rape me?
No, but I would definitely tell my daughter and I tell my younger siblings that whenever you're in a situation, always make sure you know what's going on.
But that's not the same as telling them if you want to go out and have a good time, fine.
I tell my sister don't drink. I tell my sister don't drink. If you don't want a problem, if you don't want to put yourself in bad situations, don't drink. Every situation that people have, you can avoid it by not doing it. Now the problem is, do you have the discipline by not doing it? See, I don't see how hard it is to not go out, not go have a drink. I don't need any self-acceptance or any fucking. I don't need people's eyes to look at me to give me some type of I belong in this world. I don't need any of that. So in my eyes, if I want to avoid a situation, I don't go to it. I know as a man, a situation like a fight can break out for the smallest of fucking things. Someone steps on my shoes. Or I accidentally step on the shoes, and I even apologize, yet he still got an issue with me. That kind of shit happens for men. We got to worry about physical. We still have to worry about violence in different ways. So you can ask Cavi, because of that, do I go out?
Barely.
Do I go out? I only go out to events I know are going to be calm. Because I understand when I leave my house, I've accepted the accountability that something could happen to me. That's how I live my life. And I tell my sister, and I tell any women that I talk to, when you leave, understand the world does not move by the way you think you should be going. It moves based on reality. So if you're afraid that something's going to happen to you when you drink, I advise you don't go out to drink. Stay at home with your friends and people you trust to drink with.
But a lot of women don't go out with the thought that, or the fear that they're going to get raped. They go out with the thought that they're going to go have fun. They don't think that when they're out with their friends and they take a shot that somebody is going to rape them.
I don't go
and
thinking
they shouldn't have to feel like that when
Kevin,
they go out either.
Well, Kevin, when we go out, am I sitting there telling everybody, hey, watch out, there's something could happen? I'm like, no, we're having a good time. But I keep in the back of my mind, hey, be on alert. Don't get hammered. You don't need to be drunk. Be on alert. You need to make sure you're good at all times. Doesn't mean I can't go out there and have fun. I'm not a fucking standing there like, no, I'm having fun. I'm dancing and shit. But at the same time, I'm very aware of my surroundings. Very aware of what's going on. And that's how you should move, especially as a female.
That's being mindful. That's not telling them not to do it. That's telling them to be mindful of it.
But if you can't deal with that, don't drink. Don't do anything that can put you in those situations if you are really worried about those situations.
But all women in those situations were not drunk. All women they're
and I'm gonna reiterate, the ones of the dudes that will beat a chick unconscious or attack her and rape her in that way, those guys should be castrated and burned. Anybody who's convicted, who's actually raped somebody should be castrated and burned. But there's plenty of times where girls just had regretful sex, that they were just upset with themselves, that they got drunk at the club and left with a dude, and then said that he forced himself upon her. That's why I'm saying it's all very fucking tricky, but you have to have actual evidence to what's going on. I don't move and pass my judgment unless I have some evidence that goes with it. Like I said with the Bill Cosby case, when they first came out, I didn't really believe it enough until I started hearing black comedians who would have more reason to defend Bill Cosby than they would to not defend him. And they were saying that shit was going on when they was going on. But they all agreed it was a different time. Half those women that were going to that hotel with him were aware that this man was married. That you were going into a hotel room with a married man. If you're really on this high moral ground, why are you going to the hotel of a married man? There's a lot of things you have to ask yourself if this stuff is okay or not. I'm just going to ask all those questions before I pass judgment. I'm not going to believe the story because I've seen so many people lie that I'm going to make sure this is true before I go ruin somebody's life. You can't ruin people's life on that. And
that's true, but that still does not justify rape. That still does not justify the comment.
No one's justifying rape.
Women going to a room, even with that situation, women going to a room, even though the man is married. Now, those women knew more than likely he's inviting you for sex. But somebody putting something in your drink, and that's still like, okay, you still didn't have that right. If they willingly knew, they drank that, knowing that that was in there, okay. But
see, that's the part we're never going to know. But that's the part we're never going to know, because some people can sit there in that room, they can sit there and be like, and sit there and have watched him put it in there, and can easily say the next day that they didn't see it happening. You have to figure out you got to figure out who's the one telling the truth.
So many factors.
There's a bunch of factors. That's why it's not clear and cut when it's clear cut what it is. Because there's plenty of situations where someone's in the exact same situation where it wasn't considered it, but in another state it was considered it. There's a lot of aspects to it. That's why there's just like, I tell people, just avoid the situation at all. Just avoid the situation. Just like I avoid certain neighborhoods out here in LA. I should be able to go anywhere in the city, but that's not the reality of the situation. I shouldn't have got beat up because I'm from the Bay and I had a San Francisco Giants hat on, but I got beat up walking through Figueroa. I didn't deserve to get beat up. Simply for just something I was wearing. But I should understand that when I walk around with certain hats on that I'm going to cause attention.
Rape is not okay.
None of it's okay.
And like I said, for any woman that watches this, if you want to go out and smoke a blunt, and if you want to go out and have a drink, be mindful, but at the same time, be mindful of your surroundings. If that's what you want to do, you can do it. If that's how you feel, you can do it. Be mindful of your surroundings and be mindful of who's around you, but don't tell yourself that you can't go out and have a good time. Still go out and have a good time.
Yeah, always go out and have a good time. Just be mindful of what's going on around you. Always be mindful of what's going on around you. There's people who don't care about you. There's people who there's a lot of shit that is going on around you that you got to be aware of. And then you're going to be held accountable to whatever decisions you make as an adult. That's how I'm able, to get over certain things that happen in my life. Certain things in my life I feel that really wasn't majority my fault. But there's some things in my life that I could have fixed, but I chose not to. Or I could have easily should have said something, things could have been different, but I chose not to. But you have to hold yourself accountable to whatever decisions you decide to make. Even if it's holding your tongue. Because if something's really happening to you, you don't hold your tongue.
Like I said, that's a touchy situation. And
well, it's not going to get any more touch. It's not going to get any better if we don't.
That's a conversation that shouldn't even be had.
Well, it should. So we all got. If we're expected all one day to be on the same page, We all have to sit and have a conversation on what people think it is.
When you say things and you say that if something's happened to you, you should speak up. You know how many kids, like, that's why I said
I can understand where they're coming from.
But you know how many
But I
kids,
still stand by what I'd say.
You know how many kids, you know how you got Simone Biles and all these gymnastic athletes, and they're talking about how all these trainers been raping them and doing all this stuff to them over the years. And it's like, damn, you should have said something. But then, damn, you was like 8 years old, 9 years old.
That's why I find it hard to believe that she knew what was going on. But I don't even think Simone Biles was part of that case. She's part of the USA Gymnastics, but she wasn't part of that case.
She was one of the girls who said that she was molested by this trainer. It was in USA Today. She was like front page with tears in her eyes, crying. And then there were like several other women.
I gotta read up on it. I can't make a decision based on no knowledge. I gotta read up into it. But even with Simone Biles or what's the Japanese chick that black people but we've claimed, the chick from Japan that doesn't even represent us in the United States. What's her name? The tennis player.
I know who you're talking about.
She's with Corday, whatever his name is. She's with Corday.
Yeah, Corday's girlfriend.
Yeah, but even with those two, that don't.
Simone Biles breaks down in tears recounting Nassar's sexual abuse. So she was one of the girls.
Yeah, and if he was legit doing it, and they have him on a bunch of evidence, then he deserves to be castrated and thrown into a fucking cell. I agree with people who have evidence. And
I'm sorry that my knowledge. I'm sorry that I didn't know the trainer's name, but it does say USA Today, and it does say Simone Biles, and it does have the picture on front. But yeah.
Well, no, we're not denying what you're saying. What you had in front of you.
You did. You said I can't trust your knowledge.
No, I said I can't make a decision for me based on no prior knowledge. I didn't say anything about your knowledge.
You said prior knowledge. Okay.
I don't make a decision based on no knowledge. I don't have any knowledge on it, so I can't pass a judgment unless I've looked into it.
So then you say, like I said, you say speak up. So you have a group of girls now who are now speaking up, who were like 8 years old, 9, 10, 11. And this person was raping them and molesting them. A lot of them, as far as gymnastics, they don't stay at home. They get sent away to live with someone.
In gymnastics.
So
shout out to AGA.
It's like, shout out to you, and I hope that didn't happen to her. But for them to go through those things as children, and then you say, like, you should have spoke up, that's a touchy situation.
Well, we can always pigeonhole certain situations to
that's touchy.
Yeah, but I guarantee they weren't the only people knowing that was going on, and the people who was sitting there knowing it's going on, who knew that it was wrong, are people who should be speaking up. So yes, people should be speaking up. Now, if you want to get younger and younger and younger, then yeah, the adults have to step up. And based on my knowledge, it's something the adults knew what was going on. So I pass that blame on the parents.
So does that go back to turning a blind eye?
For the parents, yes. But if you're a grown-ass adult and someone's messing with you in ways they shouldn't be messing with you, you speak up. You speak up. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. The only people that get a pass from it, I could say, are children. And that's just because they're not developed enough to really do anything about it. But if you're a grown-ass adult who knows how to use their mouth, speak up. That's the only way that's the only way it changes. And I'm just using what other women's groups say, which is speak up.
Me Too movement up today.
Well, not just Me Too, just women's
liberation.
Women's programs that I've worked for and worked in. They all just say speak up. So but I'm also a person that I have to see the entire thing before I pass any judgment on anybody. Because if I'm expecting them to do that to me, I have to do that for them. That's why I see it. If I expect white people If I expect white people to treat my Puerto Rican family and my black family like equals, I'm gonna treat white people as if they're my equal. That's actual equality. I'm not gonna be like, oh, since your people fuck with me, I'm gonna fuck with you now. That's not how it works. That's not how shit's gonna change.
It's not, especially that's equality all across the board. That means that if you see somebody of this status doing one thing, don't turn a blind eye just because they may not be the common man. Everybody should be treated the same. If they do something, let them be held accountable just like the people on the street.
Yeah, everybody's held to their account.
Don't let it go years and years and years and not say anything. And then when it comes out, I'm shocked. You guys knew. Everybody knows.
Yeah, as as much as just as much as all these dudes that have been convicted for all this stuff, I still believe the people that were helping them do this shit should all be convicted too. Everybody has accountability in the situations.
Now that's what I'm waiting on. I'm waiting on to see if somebody who actually is convicted, if they tell. Because a lot of people say that they're going to tell and then they don't tell.
No, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. If we're going to be realistic, it's not going to happen. It's going to be more or less they have to. One, if people are going to snitch, they're always going to ask for some kind of leniency. That's always going to happen. And then on top of that, they're just going to give me some of the stuff you gave me. Like, you don't, like, I wasn't going to say anything because of my status, because of his status and all this other stuff, which if I'm the investigator and I'm the investigator or I'm the judge of the prosecution, I'm going to say, you should have said something. It goes all the way across the board. You knew that shit was wrong. You should have said something. So that's why you're in jail now. Don't tell me now after all these years you see your ways were wrong. No, you should have said something back in the 90s. So you're going to go to jail too. This goes for everybody. I don't pick and choose. Cavi knows me personally. I don't pick and choose how I talk to people. I don't pick and choose my morals, and I don't pick and choose when it's convenient for me.
We got that in common.
So if I say you should have spoke up, even with my homies who go to, like, I've had a homie who's been robbed, and I asked him, what were you wearing the night you got robbed? And when he told me, I said, no fucking shit you got robbed. No fucking shit you got robbed. Let me see your Instagram story. Yeah, no fucking shit you got robbed, bro. I don't feel bad for you. This is exactly what happens to people who do this. So am I going to feel fucking bad for you? No, I'm not. I'm not going to feel bad for you. Because you knew what's the right way to move and what's the wrong way to move. You chose to move the wrong way, and wrong things happen to the people that move the wrong way. And unfortunately, I feel like that goes across the board. It just so happens the type of things that happen are different for men and women. But I feel it goes the same way across the board.
You just agree to disagree.
I know people who purposely consume things that put themselves in bad situations, and I can guarantee if they weren't consuming that, they wouldn't even be in these situations. I can guarantee it. Because certain substances make you act a certain way. So if you stop taking those substances, you would hence to stop acting that way. Now the difference is, how hard is it for you to leave those demons? How hard is it for you to say no? How hard is it to turn your back around and be like, look, I know I want to go out, but I understand I drink too much and that puts me in situations I shouldn't be in. So I'm going to stay home. That's the shit I think about. I know what happens to me when I drink. I know I can get in a fight if I drink. Some shit's going to happen. I'll get upset and I'm probably going to start a problem. So I don't drink that much when I go out.
So basically, don't expect other people to have that much control or accountability over themselves. Because if I can say I'm not going to drink, then somebody else can say, well, I'm not going to rape this woman. So basically, don't have expectations for other people to do the right thing.
Never. I never have expectations for people to do the right thing.
Because if I can say, like you said,
people
if I
are
could
selfish.
say,
People are selfish people. People are inherently selfish. They're inherently self-deprecating. No. People got to start taking these fucking flower petal glasses off and start realizing the world does not revolve like that. The world does not go based on ideas and ideals. It goes based on nature. And nature is a motherfucker. Nature is not nice. Nature don't give a fuck about people's feelings. Nature don't care about anybody but making sure nature holds its rules. That's all nature's worried about. So I move understanding that nature don't give a fuck about my feelings, and it's gonna do what it wants to do. So I'm gonna move accordingly to how society is telling me to move. And if I'm a lady, and I tell my sisters this, if society's telling you attract certain attention when you dress a certain way, or when you're drinking alcohol and you're on Instagram showing yourself out like that, understand you attract the attention you're giving. If you don't want that attention, stop. If you don't want that kind of attention, stop doing the things that attract that. I don't want gang issues, so I don't be throwing up gang signs and shit. That's just how reality works. If you don't want certain things to happen to you, you gotta stay away from that shit. And you gotta stay away from that shit. Because majority of the issues that I hear, it always has to deal with drugs, alcohol. A lot of the ones that I'm hearing, that's what they have to deal with. Now the ones where it's flat out just a dude beating it, attacking somebody, that's far out there. But the ones where people are just going out and all that stuff, that shit can easily be avoided by simply just hanging out with your friends at home and drinking with your friends at home. But people, not just men or women, both of them, go to clubs because they want to be seen. They want to go find something cute to go look at or go talk to.
And they have that right.
Yeah, they have that right.
In America.
You have that right, but you also have the right to accept. With that right, you have to accept what comes with it. And what comes with it is there's a chance some bad shit could happen to you. It doesn't make it right, but just understand that bad shit happens to people. And if you want to avoid bad shit happening to you, you can avoid these certain things. And don't move throughout the world thinking the world's going to change, because it should change. It never has in the history of man.
It's forever changing.
But not in a lot of people's favors.
It's forever changing.
Yeah, but it doesn't ask for anybody's permission. It just changes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It changes since the beginning of time until the end.
So you never know. Think about it like this. Something that we might find acceptable right now in like 10 years is not going to be acceptable at all. I can guarantee it. I will guarantee that something that we did in this era will be deemed as unacceptable in the next era. I can guarantee it.
Shit,
I'll put my life.
Like,
I'll put my life savings on the line. I'll put my future children's life savings on the line. I will bet my entire wealth. I can guarantee in the next 10 years something that we found totally okay is going to be demonized. Guarantee it.
Oh hell yeah! This episode right here.
Guarantee it,
nigga. This episode right here. Hell yeah!
But I've just noticed I've just noticed that's just how life works, how time works, how history works. Mm-hmm. History has a rhythm. If you look deep into history, it has a rhythm. It has a rhythm. It goes through its liberal times, and then now it's about to go into a conservative time. It goes through circles. It goes through rhythms. There's rhythms to all this stuff. But you gotta be more aware of what's going on in those. What's going on around you. What's going on in history. What was what? I'm just so one of those people who likes to understand what's going on that I obsess over what it was like. Like, I find it very funny that when people post those pictures, I wish, especially black people, who says, I was born in the wrong era. I should have been in the 60s or the 50s or the fucking 40s.
I see those comments every time.
Bro, I hate that shit because I'm a history buff. I'm like, you do not want to live in that time as a black person. You don't. They had lynch mobs and shit. You don't.
Are you sure though? Are you really?
I'm very fucking positive.
Some people probably look at the music. Some people probably look at the way we dress. Some people probably.
But that was only 10% of what was going on at that time.
Right, but we were fucking. That's the hardest times though.
Bro, if
Some
I'm being,
shit that we probably never seen.
I'd rather walk down the street worried about, cause at least I can avoid a gang. I can avoid gangs. Talking to my family members who are still alive from that era says if you saw the KKK, that was pretty much your last day. I can see some niggas as Bloods or Crips out here and just walk past them as long as I don't start no problem. Back then it wasn't like that. And I'm Puerto Rican. People forget about the Zoot Suit era when sailors were fucking killing Spanish people. Wasn't the best time to fucking be Spanish either. So that shit is dumb. People don't understand their history and what was going on with it. They understand that certain things seemed cool, but those were just snapshots in a shitty time.
Yeah.
We are entitled and have no sense of what we came from. I'm still lucky enough to have my great grandparents, both my great grandmothers here.
Yeah.
So I can ask them what it was truly like.
Same here.
Dude.
And
facts.
they tell me constantly, you should be grateful for what you have, because we didn't have anything close to this. And if you would have told me when I was younger what was in the future, I would have slapped the shit out of you and told you were lying.
Yeah.
People don't have a real perspective on what's really going on.
Entitlement part, you hit it on the nail with
It's
that
very
one.
entitled, bro. It's very entitled, bro. I got a bunch of bunch of family and friends that say they've endured racism. But shit I've heard them, and the shit I've asked my family, like the OGs of my family, it's nothing compared to the shit that they had to deal with. I'd rather deal with this cupcake shit that compared to the shit that my elders had to deal with. This shit is cupcake. Hearing it from the horse's mouth. Shit, I don't live in a racist era. Might be some people that don't like me, but let's be honest. I've heard a lot of people that sit on those platforms saying end racism and all this shit, and you will hear some of the craziest shit off the record. Those people are just as racist, just as fucking prejudiced. All those people you see on those fucking platforms, on those saying that we need to fight for us and fight for all this shit, the same motherfuckers who gonna sit there and demean some the same people. Same. So all that shit's a fucking facade to me. I don't listen to any of those quote unquote activists. Activism isn't the same anymore. People do activism now just to look good. They don't actually do actual activism. Some people say they all about helping black people all the time, bro. But I've seen hella people who about that wouldn't give a homeless man $1. So a lot of people that scream that they this and that, I know for a fact that they not.
That's why you ain't gotta talk about it. You gotta be about it. It's a lot of people that help people. It's a lot of people that do a lot of work in the streets, and you'll
Just
never
help
hear
people
about
to
it.
help people. Don't help people thinking you're gonna get something out of it.
No, all I said was talk about it and be about it.
Yeah, but also just do it just for like where people fuck up. Where I get real annoyed is that when people like on social media showing them helping the homeless and all this shit. I can't stand
annoying.
that shit. Just do it. Let the news or some shit point out that you're doing this shit.
Yeah.
Good people do good things in silence and don't expect nothing from it.
Yep.
They just do it because it's the right thing to do, not because you're gonna get a couple hundred likes and a couple comments, or some people are gonna ride with you because you decide to help the homeless one day out the year.
Oh yeah, subliminal fucking clout chasing.
That's what I'm saying. So like, it's a lot of these people. It's hard. That's why I take a lot of this activism shit on both sides with a grain of fucking salt, because I have to do my research. And if I find out you're not involved in any of this shit, bro, I'm not gonna listen to you.
Yep.
I don't listen to anybody that's not legit involved in this shit. I don't listen to some outlandish shit. Like I don't like Dr. Umar Johnson. Not a big fan of some of the shit he says. Not a fan of it. At least his shit on interracial couples and shit like that. I don't really agree with it. But I will say he does do a lot of shit for his community. So I can't sit there and say he's fake in that sense. He's not. He does a lot of shit for his community. I don't like some of the shit he has to say, but that's not enough for me to demonize the dude. Not enough. I don't even demonize. I don't even demonize people. I might just not agree with you. And just because I don't agree with you doesn't mean you're a bad person in my eyes. We're just on a different page. And that's what I feel like. That's what we should be pushing towards. Not everybody having the same idea as me and you, as me and her having a discussion and understand that we both got two different points of views. Because even after this, I don't have any ill will towards her. The conversation is a conversation. If we believe in certain things, that's on us. That's on us. I take accountability for the stuff that I say and the stuff that I believe, and it should be vice versa. But there shouldn't be no ill will with anybody. That's where I think people get stuck, is they think if you disagree, you're supposed to hate them. Which is like, nah, you just me and the homie don't like certain things. Me and this dude don't even like the same things. There's a lot of shit there's more shit we don't like with each other. Like, there's more shit that we don't have in common than we actually do have in common.
Yeah.
But that's how I feel like everything should be. I don't have to agree with you. As long as I feel like you still have the right to exist and you still deserve your human rights, I feel like it shouldn't fucking matter whether you think I'm right or wrong. That's the whole point of this shit. Everybody has the right to say whatever they fucking want to say, and they have the right to deal with the consequences that come with whatever the fuck they want to say. But this consequence is to free speech. Just like I know I'm gonna catch some backlash on some of this shit I said, but if people who know me and you've been watching this for a while know that's pretty much how I've always thought.
Just have an unreleased, uncut version.
I know, we're gonna start a Patreon. Start a Patreon.
Those of you. I'm playing.
But anyways, let's go ahead and wrap this up because that was a deep ass conversation.
No,
that shit was deep.
Yeah.
We ain't had one of these in a while.
That shit was deep.
This was dope.
But no, let's go back more into your music. You got anything coming up? Any projects coming up? Any events coming up? Anything people should be looking out for?
I don't know if I'm gonna do an album, but I am gonna put out another mixtape. Just so I can spit some bars. Still working on music for television. So expect, music to hit television and hopefully some movies.
Hey. It'll happen.
Yeah.
You got the TV show, so that's one step closer.
Yeah. So hopefully, what else? Clothing line. Started a clothing line. Having fun with that. Having fun with that. It's different. It's different from doing music. It's a different type of creativity, but it's dope. Shout out to Every Play Matters. I do have my clothes in the Carson Mall, the South Bay Pavilion.
Hey, shout out.
Yeah. What else? Shit, just trying to stay consistent. Not trying to, just staying consistent. There are other things that I have in the works behind the scenes, other businesses and things like that, but I'm not going to say anything. I'm the type of person, I don't like negative energy. I don't like people discouraging me. Most of the things that I've done that I've been successful at, I don't say anything. I don't say anything until after it's already done.
I feel like I feel like everybody should move like that.
Yeah,
I feel like you jinx yourself once you start telling people you're doing this before it happens.
Exactly.
So might as well just do it. Yeah.
But that's really it. Just staying consistent, new clothes, new music, new placements, and new businesses.
Hey, that's what's up. All right. Well, what's the time?
Shoot, we are at an hour and 17.
I know, we did okay. Yeah.
We got a lot.
I know, we got a lot. We talking a lot.
We good.
All right, well, shit. We want to thank you again for coming out. Appreciate it. Appreciate all the opinions, all the different aspects of way of looking at things. Yes. Hopefully, this helped you guys out. Like I said, we don't have to agree on things.
Yes.
But the beauty of it is that we're able to have a conversation with each other.
Yep.
And not hate each other after.
Yep.
That's the main point. That's the main point of this.
Y'all just
right
picking
here.
each other's brain at this point.
That's
it's
all.
Good. It's
And
good.
everybody that's watching this too, you guys should like be open to conversations like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Talk about this stuff, man.
Have these
Yeah.
conversations.
In person,
Yeah.
you know, not so much social media where everybody just arguing and, you know, like, it's okay to have these type of conversations with people that you know,
Yeah.
people that you don't know, and
'Cause
just share
we-
intellect.
We both agree certain things are bad. We both agree things are bad. Now to the degree,
I mean,
that's
we all
what we
just trying to
talk.
stay safe out here, right?
Yeah, that's all.
For real, for real.
That's all.
But
That's all.
it keep your mind going, you know, to even me having this conversation with you. These are not I have conversations like this with my grandma. I don't have conversations like this with people my age. So for everybody that's watching this, try to have conversations with people around you about the things that's going on in the world. You know, see things from both point of views, how we can change things. You can't do it all on a computer, you know, screen.
Exactly.
You feel me?
Yeah, so she already said it. Y'all ain't got to say nothing else. I ain't got to say nothing else, but y'all already
Yeah.
know what it is. I'm Shaggy Dashwood. It's DJ Cavi Slow.
Gang,
Yeah.
gang,
And we
let's
got
go.
Miss PYT here.
Thank y'all for tuning in.
Oh, yeah. Appreciate you coming through. And that's going to be it. The Add Me to Your Playlist podcast. Make sure you go like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Let us know what you thought about this conversation. It was a real deep one. So please let us know how you feel about my opinion, her opinion, just how everything goes.
And don't cancel us.
Oh, God, don't cancel us. Because we're trying to show you guys what it's like to have a conversation.
Yes.
So don't cancel us. We're trying to show you how to have a civil conversation without hating each other after. But it's all love. We still wish you nothing but success. Let us know when you get those placements. We'll be right there.
Thank you.
Let us know. And it's all love. You already know what it is. Y'all holler at us later.
Hey.
See ya.